Welcome to the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. This podcast is for those who seek answers from above, guidance and magical inspiration.
Immerse yourself in the realms of magic, angels, fairies, unicorns, dragons, and so much more. I'm Kirsty Jandrell, and I'm delighted to be here with you today.
And I am Kate Latchfeld. Hello. Welcome to the another episode of the Angels, Magic and Joy podcast. Myself and Kirsty today, we're very excited and honored to welcome and have our special guest, Sam Williams. Sam is a founder of Zen 10 Events, a human design specialist, firewalking instructor, and so much more. As I know you, Sam, you have so many gifts. So welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Oh, it's a privilege, guys. Really is.
Sam, the main thing, as I know you, Zen 10 Events, and you're planning a very exciting retreat this summer, but we're going to come back to it a bit later on because that's, I think, one of the biggest goodies that you have in the bag for us this year. But there's so much to you, Sam. And when I look at you, and since I met you, the main thing that comes to my mind is co-creation and synergy. And spreading that farther and farther, planting those seeds and connecting people.
Yeah.
But before we dive in, because there's so much I wanted to ask you, because you're just such a bag of goodies. You can just keep taking out and exploring. One of the main things that really touched me last year joining the Elements Retreat was firewalking. And you're also a firewalking instructor. And I wanted to dive into that a bit more because this is not, okay, we all know about firewalking, but it's not as, common. And I don't think there is that much knowledge out there or experience out there regarding firewalking. So starting off, how your journey started and what drew you to it and what does it symbolize for us, personally or on a spiritual level, like in a broader context.
Well, I think I first walked fire about 7 years ago. It was at Lindisfarne Festival, and my cousin P, who holds Sweat Lodge and the Firewalk with me at the Elements Retreat, she was drumming at Lindisfarne, and she said, coming over. Now it's not a short trip. It's like a 6-7 hour journey. And it was just like, oh, I don't know, that's a big effort. And she said, there's fire there. And I think the switch was made. It was just like, oh, I'm in. I'm there. So the first time I walked fire, I think I was like everybody that stands before the coals and has fear, absolutely shaking, all the things, my head just going a little bit crazy in that, all of my stories coming through. And the moment that I walked, I've got to say, I felt as though I floated. I felt as though it was just it was over before I knew it. And then all of a sudden it was just like, oh, I've just broken a barrier of my own limits. It's whatever stories are in my head just left. And then I felt invincible. And it was just like, this is medicine. It felt like that whole. So that relationship was then instantly just so burning inside me, literally. And then it was just before COVID hitting. So then COVID changed the world. So all plans to go and do firewalk instructors and things like that, everything was just like closed down. I was a social worker by trade. So I've spent the last 30 years being a child and family social worker and working with people and bringing medicine in a different way to them. So when the world opened up again, there was the burning call. And my cousin said to me, there's an opportunity. A couple of people have dropped out of a fire walking instructors training. Shall we go? And it was right in the middle of a busy time. It was over in Ireland. It was just like it was an effort. And again, it's those things in life that whilst they come to you and they flow easy, the good things in life take that effort as well. So it was just yeah, I'm going over. I'm going over. I'm going to spend some quality time with my cousin. We're going to do this. We're going to walk fire. And my life changed. It absolutely changed dramatically. The moment that I started building fire, building a relationship with it, going into ritual and ceremony with not only the wood, but the intentions building, it transformed my whole aspect of myself. It was really clear that I was definitely not a social worker anymore. It was a huge change and transformation. And the knowledge was that that had to be brought to others. It felt like it was the medicine of the soul. And if you could talk forever, talking therapies are amazing. So just they've all got their place. But sometimes when we're stuck, um, throw yourself over some hot coals in a good way, and then all of a sudden you go, I can do anything. Like, okay, look what I've just done. Look what I've just achieved by walking 10 steps. So that was the beginning of my journey with fire, and then bringing it to other people. And then that carried on. So I'm a fire master now. So I actually teach instructors to instruct. So that teach the teacher element of me came through, and I love that as well. So I've just been busy spreading for the last couple of years the medicine all out. Who will ever have me with fire, I'm there. It's like, come on, let's bring it in.
Wow, that is so powerful. Just listening to that is feeling it sort of somatically, really. It's just, especially when you describe the floating element, I'm just absolutely intrigued by all of it. But thank you so much for sort of explaining, the origins of that, because it's as well, I love the way you describe, when it's almost like when you're coming to an important part of your life, it's actually committing to that is an initiation in itself, and it feels like you went through those barriers before you even got to the fire. It was that sort of
Absolutely.
jumping over those initiations, or walking through those initiations. So thank you, Sam. So exciting. So I mean, you've mentioned a few of those, really, and the fact that it's completely changed your life. And we were talking earlier, weren't we, before we got on the recording, about the ripple effect and how this is such a beautiful creation, a co-creation, that when you start to do something, then you're obviously now teaching other people. So what lessons, specifically, Sam, what main lessons has firewalking taught you? I mean, you mentioned sort of breaking through those self-limiting beliefs and barriers. So could you talk into that perhaps a little bit deeper, please?
So I think it gave me the ability to dare to dream again. I was locked into a career that I was of service, constantly of service, and it was something that I thought I'd do forever. And then all of a sudden, I've got the fire in front of me, thinking I can still be of service, but I can be in service in a different way. So I think it was those limits that were lifted. It was a case of I can change my life, and I can enable and empower other people to do the same. And that drive just came through so clearly. And it was just like, okay, this is, and it came after a year of creating the Elements retreat, which is another story of how that came through. And it seemed to be it was the cherry on top. I am so big on co-creation. We're not meant to be lone wolves in this world. It is really, really a tough old world if we think that we have all the components to be everything for everyone, and not to just look to your left and look to your right and go, who's with me? And then there's lots of people that just need a handhold. to be able to say, come on, we got you. What does it look like if you just take that little leap and somebody's there to hold your hand and to catch you? Then all sorts of wondrous things start to open up. We don't stay locked in our little rooms and just peering out at the world going, I wish I could do that. It's just try it. Just, yeah.
Yeah, and firewalking definitely can help breaking through that. And it's interesting you said the feeling of floating. I had actually exactly the same experience, and walking to the space, to the ceremonial space of firewalking, I could already feel my body being lifted. I just came and I was already lifted. It's incredible. And I suppose, of course, depending of the intention, depending of the day, depending of where we're at in our lives, the experience is always different, right? But Sam, if you were to, combine it into one for someone who's, never experienced that and is really curious, what happens in our minds and our bodies when we do firewalking? What can we kind of expect with that if you were to combine it, on the broader scale of our mind, body, spirit? You've mentioned already, breaking through and everything else, but is there any other, details that you could give?
I think for me personally, I can only speak personally, but also I've witnessed so many people go over that have had the same impact, I suppose. It's almost like a cellular remembering. It's something about, it's something bigger than us. You'll hear that phrase come from me a lot. I don't feel as though it's that anything that I bring into the world is me personally bringing it in. It feels like whatever drive I have to create or to co-create, it takes on a life of its own and organically becomes a movement in itself. So it's not just about that personal side of life. It's how we break I suppose it's how we break our patterns of ancestral patterns and lineage and things like that. So when we walk this earth in fear, we're only just feeding into all of those patterns of behavior that our ancestors would love us to break. So once we're facing those coals, we've watched the fire burn down. There's so many beautiful opportunities to create those intentions to run through your body. Some people can walk the fire and just not set an intention and just go. And that's okay, that's their path. But I see other people take the honor, the reverence, the actual taking the breaths to be able to go, gosh, I am at one with this fire. So what can I ask it to transmute for me? What can I ask it to call in? What can I ask it to let go of? So we have so many aspects of that kind of the spirituality side of life, the heart side of life, and then the embodiment. It just all flows together if you allow it. And you can see people's faces change. They stand on the edge and you can see all the fear and all the shallow breathing coming in and all of that. And then when they walk the fire and they get to the other side, there's an elation, there's a bliss that comes through. And you can't buy that. I've not seen it created by any other things. And it's just like, oh, there you go, that's freedom. That is absolutely an unshackling happens. You get to the other side and you go, I believe I can do these things in life instead of the stories that we tell ourselves and the stories we've already got written. So yeah, it's the transformation side that really, really gets me.
That is stunning to witness, but in story, let alone to experience. So it's just sounds, and the fact that it's so for me, as you were talking, it's the fact that it's so so instant. It's such an automatic, instant transformation. I mean, we can spend years and years, can't we, in shadow work or talk therapy, as you say, working with patterns, which is great, but this sounds just so direct. It's wonderful. So thank you so much, Sam, for
one of my favorite moments in life was watching Kate come over the fire. And who she was when she was at the end. I mean, you're quite an incredible human being anyway. but you stood at the edge and you were just like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And I could see the persuasion within your own mind going, go on, go on. And then once you'd done it once, you were a little rebel. You were back and do it again and do it again. And it was just like, you could feel that energy just creating inside you, couldn't you? And it was just a sight to behold. To witness that was just like, oh yeah, that's what this is for.
Yeah, I'm warning anyone who wants to dare me again. Somebody dare me at the end. Oh, if I was like, oh, I walked and I was like, oh, it's actually not that bad. I'm like, oh, that's great. And somebody said, really? So walk it 6 more times. I'm like, 6? I'm gonna walk it 7 times then. That was fantastic.
Oh, I wish I'd have been there. Well, yes. Okay, Kate, I'm gonna dare you to do it again and in my presence, and I will do it with you. But isn't that beautiful about that, that watching that liberation
Yeah.
that someone can walk into and walk through, literally walk into. I just find that beautiful. So
we do shackle ourselves, don't we? We do limit ourselves. We keep ourselves small often because other people allow us to keep ourselves small as well. But if we've just got that moment of expansion and at one with that element, it's just, you can't help to be transformed with fire.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And we can't really talk about firewalking without also mentioning arrow breaking, Sam. And Kate's talked to me about this as well, and I'm absolutely intrigued about arrow breaking. And again, it feels like this sort of, this real sort of facing fears and limitations. So can you describe the experience of breaking an arrow and how you do it and what it's all about, please, Sam?
Hold that thought a minute.
Oh.
I was hoping someone's gonna bring one of the arrows because you actually need to see where it goes to get a sense of it.
Wow.
So these are real arrows. They have metal tip. And where we place these beautiful arrows is, see that little space there that's so vulnerable on somebody's body. We place it there, and people break the arrows at their throat. Kirsty, look at your face. You're a picture.
Now, I've heard it described, but having actually seen that visual. So Sam, how does it work? How do we not impale ourselves on?
Again, so they're wooden arrows, they've got a bend on them, but they snap, they're quite, you can't, like, I could put it over my knee and snap it. So I describe it as magic because not quite sure how else to do that, to describe it. But when it goes here, especially for us women, it holds something quite sacred. If you think of all of the, if you are one to believe in past lives and one to believe that our ancestors are just behind us every single second of the day, how many times the women have been burnt at the stake or, just had ropes around their neck to silence them, all of the things. So there's been a lot of persecution of women in days gone by. So this is almost like, I see this is a freeing element. It comes in and placed at the throat. That can cause all sorts of rememberings to come through. All of that kind of, and you can watch it in people's faces as whether they spring to tears, whether they can't breathe properly, all of those things all of a sudden seem to be right there. And they're being asked to just break that pattern moving forward. So as you step through and you break the arrow, something happens in your throat. Something happens in that ability to be able to speak freer. That chakra seems to be opened, and then all of a sudden you can take a deeper breath. It goes alongside walking over hot coals, and you just think, I've just broken an arrow at my throat. It's like, what is there in life that I can't do at this moment? So it feels as though it's one of the most powerful tools as an expression to come through. You can break it silently. You can roar like a lion. You know, we have various degrees. We had a women's retreat here a couple of weeks ago, and there was 22 women, and each sister held the other with the arrow breaking. There was that collective, beautiful camaraderie and support that came through. And to be witnessing somebody step forward and face their fear, one of the most powerful things in the world you can do, if it's held with love. So these arrows, I literally, they're in my car, they're everywhere. At any moment's notice, oh, I've got an arrow for that, seems to come out of my mouth.
You never know when you need an arrow breaking. It's incredible how you describe it, because I would describe it the same. It's like magic, because there's such a force, such energy that's coming through. And if I think of it, you know, from the mind perspective, I would never be able to do that. But it's such a force, it's such energy coming through that. It's arrow breaking was one of my most profound experiences, I have to say, you know, alongside with firewalking and other experiences, but was so powerful, such a force. It's only something, you know, we can describe it, but it's something to experience in order to actually get the knowing or a sense of knowing. And these are the things that we're gonna experience at the Elements Retreat, isn't it, Sam?
Absolutely.
One of
I've
them.
got half broken arrows, so they're broken. I've got them dotted all around my garden and outside, because I walk out the front door, I look down, and I've got just in the ground my 2 arrows, and it's just like, look what I do. Look what I can do.
I used to carry my broken arrow like everywhere. I'm like, I had it with me all the time. Like, I did that. It's so profound, such a profound experience. And we're gonna move on to what we can expect at the Elements Retreat in a moment. But I cannot help not to ask you about the human design, Sam, because you're so big about human design. And I found that there's really not much information, knowledge is still not as common, it's not as, you know, well known as I wish it would be. And you're holding, you know, loads to share about it. And I know we could talk about human design probably for hours and hours and hours, but maybe a few words for those unfamiliar, you know, with human design. Could you give us like a simple explanation of what is it and how can it impact our lives once you're, you know, diving into it?
Sure. It's my passion. It absolutely, I found it 4 years ago. A friend, Tanya Wales, and I found it together. And she is a manifestor in human design, and they are quite rare in the world. And we learned that I'm a manifesting generator. So it, quite simply, it's a blueprint. It's a blueprint of, if you look at astrology, you know, astrology gives you a bit of a blueprint. It gives you a an opportunity to go, oh, I fit into this kind of space, and I have the traits of whatever star sign. And you look at the planets and you look at, well, the human design incorporates astrology, incorporates I Ching, and it just creates a beautiful blueprint of who you could be if you lived in alignment. So it gives you something to aim for. And then having that, it's an experiment. That's what he brought it in as. So to give it its full title, the Human Design Experiment, is that it's not one thing. It's not, oh, you must do this or you must do that. It gives you that kind of that opportunity to weave in and out and to feel what resonates with you. So, for instance, we've got a number of different aspects of people, whether they're generators, whether they're, and I could go on for hours explaining all that. So I know we haven't got time for that, but basically it enables you to work out your superpowers. It enables you to look at what your purpose of life is. And it tells you very clearly where your blind spots are, if you care to listen. Cognitive dissonance can take place and you can go, no, I'm not like that. But it's always like the charts will always just reveal more and more insight about you. So I've worked in a lot of spaces and places where we've brought in the theory from all sorts of different psychodynamic aspects and things like that. And nothing has been as powerful as working with human design as the offerings, the little gifts and the nuggets to be able to go, oh, it gives people permission to be themselves. And it's a great example would be when I first found human design, I had the opportunity of going on a podcast. So a friend said to me, Sam, come on my podcast. And it was almost like, have you met me? Like, that's the last thing that I really want to do. Like, I'm too shy. I don't want to be center of attention. All of those things just came out of my mouth straight away. And she looked at me and just went, yeah, that's great conditioning. That's all the conditioning that you've had as a kid and as an adult and all the things. And it was just like, okay, I'm curious. She said your throat in human design was designed to be able to speak. She said you're meant to be speaking and you're meant to be just bringing forth wisdom and creation gently through ninja leadership. And it was just like, so, okay, that really resonated with me. And to be able to lead in a way where I set by example and say, right, I'm going to do this. Excuse me. Who's coming with me? That's all part of my human design. So it gave me permission to be me. And I dropped the shyness aspect of me. And it was just like, okay, face your fears, Sam. And that's what I've been doing ever since, is just every time shyness ripples through me, or I can't do that ripples through me, I just remember who I am. It's like I'm meant to be doing this. So get over myself and take your step forward. And I'm not saying that's easy. And it doesn't come without kind of a lot of the time. But it does help me every single day just know that who I can be. So who I'm aiming to be is quite magical. And it's been instrumental in what I do in life now, because I work with human designs to bring teams together. So by looking at everybody's human design, having a look at in the workplace where people fit and where people weave and who they think they are, and then being able to use human design to pull out all of the hidden gifts that are in every team. The people that are just on the outskirts wanting to say things but are too shy, I find them and I bring them in and say, well, where's your voice? Let's listen to what you have to say. And you can watch productivity in a team change. You can watch the dynamics. You can watch the harmony. So yeah, it is instrumental in when we're working together as people. So that's why I like to know everybody's human design. And people are used to it now, and I love them for it. My friends, there'll be a lot of kind of eye rolling because they know within 10 minutes of speaking to somebody, I'm there saying, do you want to give me your date of birth? Because it's lovely to be able to pick out people's superpowers and tell them, like, that's like a gift in God, from the gods. So yeah, it's a massive passion for me.
Oh, that's so beautiful. And a couple of phrases there that came really pinged me were to be aware of your blind spots. I mean, that's a gift in itself, isn't it? Without having to sort of, do masses and masses of sort of unpeeling of our onion selves to know those straight away, and then to know your superpowers. I mean, who doesn't want to know their superpower? That's wonderful. Well, I just wanted to add, I think the same as you, Sam. I'm a manifesting generator. So when you were talking, I know you as well, Kay. And that really resonated when you were talking about sort of, being really shy, but actually understanding that, and we were talking about it's not about our little ego selves, is it? It's about what we can bring into the world once we get past those limitations. So that really resonated, and I wonder if that did with you, Kate, as well. So you've talked about sort of teams, and I love that. So when you're using your sort of human design with people sort of one-on-one as well as in teams, how does it how can it help people align and find their true purpose in life? I mean, I'm just wondering from is there anyone that you've worked with that's seen such a shift that they've kind of gone from one state of being in the world, maybe a career change or something like that? Have you got any little nuggets like that you could share?
Oh, so many, so many. It's just, I think if, for instance, so manifesting generators, and this is a broad kind of aspect of it. It's not kind of personal to you guys particularly, but as manifesting generators, we're busy. We are busy. We are meant to be busy as well. We are meant to multitask because we have the capacity to do that. But often you'll find manifestor generators in life start something and don't necessarily finish it. And then they berate themselves to go, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done that. And then people around us will be saying, well, I thought you were doing that this week. And you go, well, I am, but I'm also doing this. And they go, I can't keep up with you. And it's like, because you're not meant to. Like, we are non-linear. We are supposed to be bringing in magic all of the time. Our vibration, we are meant to be vibrating and working with our motors to kind of bring things that our bodies say hell yes to. Without shame, without blame, without trying to stay in anybody's boxes that they try to put us in. We're creators.
Oh, that's a relief. Thank you. That's so funny. Kate and I just standing there nodding and what are you doing this week? Well, and
Absolutely.
that's so true. It's sort of this sort of, and I'm sure you can talk into this, Kate, as well. It's that constant sort of desire to keep creating and keep bringing new things through and inspiring. And yeah, does that resonate with you, Kate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
I
And so,
know.
if anyone would like us, I find it quite, if you want to learn sound healing or anything, it's so much out there. Can people learn with you? Because, when you get your chart or even the app, I got that lovely app recommended by your team. It's still, I don't know how to read it, like it says few things, but there's so much in there. Because so can people learn from you, or how can we, learn more about it? Would you give any, insights, like how can we learn how to use it actually?
Do you know what? It's interesting because there's so much out there. It can get so overwhelming. It's just like, oh, and that's when most people, they have their chart and they go, I don't know how to read that. I'm all over the place. I'll just leave it. And I think they miss out. They miss out on the gifts. So what we'll be doing as well is I'm working with Beth, a beautiful astrologer. So we've compiled a course that we're going to be running after the elements, because things just get a bit quieter after then. And we're going to do an online course. I love face to face. I absolutely adore to be in people's energies, but sometimes we can't travel. We can't get to the people that we want to, and they can't get to us. So we're going to be taking people on a journey for them to do a bit of a deep dive. Also, if they just want their charts, a bigger chart and a little bit of insight, we do that as well. So yeah, it really is. People find us and they're not quite sure what they want. And then we have a conversation to be able to say, what do you want it for? What would you like to explore? How deep do you want to go? And some people come in and go, well, I only just want to tickle the surface and have a little bit of and the next thing I know, they're down that rabbit hole and I've got to grab their ankles. It's just like, yeah, how much do you want to know about you? Is the question. And you'll get people that want to know so much about themselves. That's amazing. And then you'll get other people that step in and go, I want to know how I work in the world, how other people work around me, and how can I lead my team? So how can I know myself better, but how can I use the right language to speak to the different people in my team? And that's the excitable bit for me as well, is when somebody comes in and they want to know it because the community needs them to know it.
Such a game changer, human design, and I'm looking forward, because I know I was nagging you as well a bit. I'm like, Sam, when you're gonna do it? Because I want, and I'm delighted you're doing it online, because then it's much more, yeah.
And you can learn it. You can learn your chart, but then the real learning comes in is putting it into practice in real life. I mean, I think I'm 3 or 4 years into it now, and still finding so much that I need to learn, and reminding myself daily. It's just like, oh, okay. So when generators like ourselves, we're all part of that generator family. When we feel frustration in life, that's our time to just have a little stop and a think and a pause, to be able to go, wait, where's this coming from? Because it often comes through, it manifests itself and comes through because we're usually people pleasing. We're usually doing something for somebody else, or because we've been asked to do it that we don't really want to do. And then that frustration kicks in and rises, and then it becomes, it's because we're not supposed to be doing that. So I've learned, my biggest learning on that one is that no thank you is a full sentence. So somebody asking me to do something, it's just like, no thanks. If my body doesn't go, yeah, I want to do that, it's a very clear no thanks.
Wow.
And that's hard for a social worker, especially with my
Yes.
conditioning and my patterns. It's like, oh, must be of service, must do. So no, it enables people to have their power back.
That's so beautiful. So can I just ask before, I know we want to move on and really dive into the retreat because there's so much juice there, but I was just thinking, as you're talking about, you know, your beautiful online course, which sounds exciting, if someone is sort of leading, if someone's working in a company and they're perhaps in a managerial role, would that be something that would be useful for them to access? I'm just wondering how that works with companies. I was just thinking
Absolutely.
yeah.
So it's good because the business world, I love the fact that you can get deep down and personal and do things with the retreat, and we can do it in everyday life. But the magic happens in the business world, because I feel as though human design is that bridge that enables people to come out of their corporate mindset into, if they can just lean into, okay, I'm open to receiving just a different way of working. Oh, it can be absolutely revolutionary within a business. You can watch people learn how to speak to each other. So for instance, you'll get projectors. Projectors are an aura in human design. And projectors are here to, so whilst our generators, we're here to raise the vibration, and we have the motors that can drive things home. And the projectors are like giant eagles that spin around the sky, and they can see the bigger picture, and they bring in the wisdom. But sometimes you can't hear them because they're on the outskirts. So you have to invite them in. You have to be able to say, what do you think? What's your opinion on this? And then all of a sudden you'll see somebody that you may well have thought was aloof or on the edge or quiet. All of a sudden inviting them in and giving them the mic, they hold court, and they bring so much wisdom and advice in. And then that enables us generators to respond to that. So that's how a team weaves and works. It's finding out what roles everybody plays and what language we need to speak to them.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Sam. We'll be putting all of those details so that people can dive in, because it's just, you know, as you were talking again, it's that, as you talked about it being the bridge between, you know, corporate world and the spiritual world, and that sort of that unity and that sort of cohesion and creating that oneness. That's absolutely where we're at, isn't it, at the moment?
Absolutely.
So, you know,
We
to
look
offer
at
that.
I do a lot of team building, we call them team bonding events, where we go into different companies and we take the arrows. We may take some fire. We sometimes take a glass walk. So instead of walking over fire, we ask people to walk over glass. So we work with all of those kind of shock components, but all of the while we're working with the human design and observing and witnessing how people work together or they don't work together. And then that helps us build a bigger picture. Whilst people are having fun and having shifts and kind of changes and transformations, we're building a bigger picture to go, how can we move forward with this momentum? and with these shifts and changes that have happened in a company. And we just get great results. It's fun and it's magic.
And speaking of co-creating and building teams, some goody, tuning in fully into, the Elements Retreat that it's upcoming this summer for summer solstice. Can't wait, big time. But before we dive in, into details, what can we expect? What's waiting? Because there's so much. Could you share perhaps, the birth of it, how it came to life, and the story behind it? When did it started, and what's the seed behind it?
Well, I'll take you back a little bit. So when I decided I didn't want to be a social worker anymore, I decided that I wanted to bring a hub, because it's as you've gathered with me, it's all about bringing people together and seeing what we can do together rather than just in isolation. So there was a space that come up in my village, and a friend of mine said, oh, I've got this space. Like, do you want to do something? And it was just like, yes, I do. I would like to build a hub where we can have, whether that's sounding, whether that's yoga, nutritional food, a space and a place where people could just be, but also the wellness side of it. So that was all part and parcel of what was being created. So I worked on that for 6 months and started to network and bring people in and just to, feel what was out there. And then right at the 12th hour, my friend said, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I think I want to do wedding dresses. And it was just so far removed from anything that I wanted. She wanted clothes and wedding dresses. And it was just like, I don't know what to do. There's 6 months of all of my energy and all of my heart and passion going into something. And then all of a sudden that was just removed. So I was literally on the kitchen floor, on my knees, having a little blub. And my partner, Andy, was just like, okay, let's hold this. Let's see. Let's find another venue. Let's find another space. Let's carry this forward. He's my rock and support. And there was a knowing in me. There was a knowing that, no, it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be in a building. So I got called literally at that time to help out at a retreat with Carolyn Coles, who is a most beautiful sound master ever. She rang, she said, can you get over here and help me out, help support? And there's me, no, I don't want to, I've just had bad news. And she asked me to get over myself quickly and to go around to Coed and help her out. So when I was doing that, I had the pleasure of going into a sound journey with her. And during that sound journey, I was given peaks, and I was given almost like a space to play with. And I thought, what is that? And then I realized it was a tent. So I come out of the sound journey, got on the phone, had a little look, and then I found what we now call the Zen tent. And it was a big Lotus Mahal tent. And I thought, oh, if I get that, nobody can take that away from me. That's my venue. So all of the dominoes fell into place. I rang them and they said, oh yeah, we've got one, but you're going to have to wait a year for it, because they're all on order and but there's a waiting list. So it was just like, oh, okay, patience. There's my lesson, patience. And then on that phone call, the phone rang in their office and somebody was cancelling one of their tents. So they said, well, okay, you're on the phone. Do you want this one? And it was like, yes, please. So the den tent came, and then that was put up in a great big flower field. And I ran by the seat of my pants. I did not have a clue what I was doing. No plan. It was the start of the summer. And it was like, okay, well, let's put a call out to all of the people that I'd networked with or my friends. And then was workshops throughout the summer. We just did workshops in there, from sounds to voice alchemy to all sorts of sound baths. And it was just amazing. It was an incredible summer with no real clue as to where that was going after the summer. So the tent come down and I was left with this massive sadness of I don't know what to do now. It's just like I don't know what I'm doing. This has just been so amazing and it's come to an end now. So I took my sorry little self off to the woods with my drum and started to just play the drum and take myself on my own kind of shamanic journey. I've been walking a shamanic path for the last 15 years. So that's how I work really. So I went into the woods, started drumming, and felt as though I was just taken down into the roots of the earth, traveling along the roots, and then I popped up in the woodland, and I thought, this is familiar, and it felt like it was Candleston Woods, and I'd been there as a child, and we played there, and it was just like, oh, this is really familiar. And I looked down at my body, and I was fire. So I was like a burning piece of fire, and looking across and seeing the water and seeing all the elements dance and play. And as quick as that happened, it was gone. And I was left with this feeling of I've got to bring something to Candleston Woods and to create something that incorporated the elements. And it was a proper, if you build it, they will come moment. And I thought, oh, do you know what? Let's just get a group of us together. Let's just get a pile of everybody. Let's just have some fun. Let's just weave together and see what can happen. And in my head, I'm thinking 25 people, maybe 30 at a stretch. So I rang Candleston and said, you haven't got any dates, have you, for this year? And they said, no. And then they said, oh, hang on, we have got one. We got one in June. Do you want it? I said, yeah. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea. No idea, but let's do it. So I came home to Andy and I said, yeah, I've just booked an expensive little venue. Don't know what I'm doing, but apparently we're going to do something with the elements. He's eye rolling and going, here we go again. So I thought we'll put the tent up, we'll have some fun. So I then put out a call to everybody to say, you know what are we doing? Like, can we play together? And it's a sand base, so it's got a sandy base there, Kirsty. It's not muddy like a field. It's got sand, and it was just like, it's like a giant sand pit. So what would happen if we asked everybody to come and play in the sand pit? Kind hands, kind mouth, just get in here, and what could it be like if we weave together? And that's how it formed. It started forming, and with an incredible crew behind me stepping in. We suddenly looked around and we thought, we've got 150 people coming to the woodlands, and all of our awesome friends and people that I have had amazing experiences with, from a physical level or an emotional level. Every single person there, it was like my dream space, where everywhere I looked, there were practitioners and therapists that I trusted and I loved and I knew were in the world doing amazing things. And there was no hierarchy. There was no headline act. Everybody came as an equal. And it was just like, if everybody kind of just gives a little bit, we can create this, we can make this happen. And it was amazing weather the first year as well. And it just turned out to, it wasn't without a lot of tears, a lot of hard work, a lot of learning, flying by the seat of our pants. But we brought it together, and it was a success. And when it ended, the biggest line that kept on coming through was, thanks for doing that, Sam. That's just changed my life. So when do you get the chance to change people's lives? So offering them the things from breath work to yoga to putting those two both together with breath and bass with our beautiful Holly Sky, and saying to people, I know you're terrified of coming in and doing a workshop to a whole load of people, but we got you. We've got you. Step forward. You're not on show. You are just amongst friends. Let's see whether we can give you and empower you to be able to do that. And you watch people just fill with confidence. And when they've come in and they've done that, then they go away and they can do it elsewhere. They can do it with lots of other people. And people weave in at the elements. Therapists, individual therapists, finding each other and then bringing collaborations forward. Oh yeah, that's the ripple effect when you watch people go on and go, oh yeah, that was born at the elements. That friendship was made at the elements. And you just watch people just expand out. We've just raised the vibration all the time, and it feels so solid and true, authentic. Yeah, I could talk for hours about it, to be honest.
Oh, Sam, honestly, thank you so much. It's just feeling the energy behind it as you're talking, the magic, the beauty, the unity, the synergy. You know, as you're saying, there's no hierarchy. It's just such a beautiful co-creation, but sparked through you and you know through that journey, that sound journey initially. It's wow. And Kate's talked to me a lot about it, and she's just so effusive, and so she's such a absolute fan. So yeah, I would love to experience this. And as you say, to have someone come up to you afterwards and say, well, that's changed my life. I mean, what better reason for doing anything? I mean, that's just the highest respect.
Absolutely.
It's gorgeous.
And to see it's a sober festival, which is really important to me.
Yeah.
I'm not against drinking. I'm not, I'm just like to each their own. But when we ask people to just go a bit deeper and do the work, providing that safe space was a high duty of care we have. We actually do care. So providing that space that is nurturing, we feed you and we fill your bellies with such amazing food as well, that you're just nourished and held, and that's so rare in life. Yeah, it was important that was the important aspect of it. People have said to me, oh, is it going to be bigger? Are you going to do this? Are you going and the answer is always no. The answer is always no. I like it. It might expand a little bit, but I need, one of the rules that I set in was that I need to remember everybody's names. So at the moment, I know that I can remember 150 to 200 people's names. Past that, absolutely. And for a menopause brain, that's a ship that's going to sail. So it was really important to keep it intimate and to allow every single person that arrived at the woods to be seen, heard, and valued. That's key. So whether you're a facilitator or whether you're a person coming in to try things for the first time, you are seen. It's important, that is.
That just comes across in the message that you're bringing through, the energy of what you're talking into, Sam. So thank you. Can you, I mean, you've talked about sort of some of the types of facilitators that you host there, and can you just talk into a little bit more what kind of experiences and transformations people can expect? I mean, you've talked about sort of sound, I think, and yoga and breath work, and what other things what other goodies can people dive into the retreat?
It was really important to bring things that, you know what it's like when you want to go and do something, but you're nervous, or you don't want to step in, or you don't want to commit for a whole kind of series of sessions. And then you end up sabotaging yourself, going, oh, well, I'm not going to try it because of this, that, and the other. So what we wanted to bring these little pockets of amazing therapists together so that people had that opportunity to try, and then they can go on and perhaps go on a longer journey with them. So for instance, Kundalini activation, so CAP. So this is a rare little energy kind of process, and it's just amazing. That can be transformational in itself. So Ange, who brings the CAP to the woods, she's incredible. So quiet. She's a ninja, like a powerful, quiet ninja that all of a sudden works with the Kundalini energy, and you find yourself taken and transported to another space. And that's not something that you get often, especially not in Wales. You know, you've got to go hunting for that. So to have that on your doorstep, and for such a beautiful person to be given all of her essence so willingly, that's an experience in itself. P comes down, and she's doing it with Julie this year. They're holding Sweat Lodge. So you've got to go out of your way to find a sweat lodge, and especially one that's held so beautifully. So we give that offering in as well. And then all of a sudden you've got Kundalini next to breath work, next to that sweat lodge coming in. And these are all powerful, transformative experiences alone, let alone over the weekend. So that's what we wanted to weave, just something different. Like Katya coming in with her voice alchemy. Oh, wow. Like that girl can sing, but she can not only sing, she gives permission for everybody else to find their voice. She's incredible. Absolutely. Kate bringing her offerings. It's just like, oh, come on. Where'd you get this mix of beautiful women and men coming in saying, there you go, have all of me, have all my essence. And yeah, and that's the authentic kind of space that we're calling in. Each of the facilitators are there because they're working from the heart. And we have one rule with the facilitators, and that's that they must be in their element providing the service. So we don't say, we have people stepping in and saying, well, what do you want me to bring? And it's just like, it's not what I want. It's like, I know what you can do, but when you dig deeper, what's that hidden bit that you haven't brought out into the world yet, that you're burning? What's your passion that you're a little bit afraid to actually reveal? Bring that. Here's your platform. Get that out there, and let's see how we can put you in your element, and then that ripple effect just works so well, just floats out to everybody else.
Wow, wow, wow. And that's, that sounds quite unique to me. To be that heart-led, with something that's facilitating quite a number of people. That's just so beautiful, really.
And I'm just gonna add that this is not even what Sam just mentioned. There's so much more, okay? So much more. I'm like, come on, Sam, there's so much more. But at the same time, what I felt, so the first thing that I've noticed coming last year was that there's no hierarchy. I really felt a friendly space, really. And to be honest, you don't get it too often, not to be, talking about anybody else, but it's that energy that you feel, that you really feel welcomed, and that there really isn't anyone, this is a star and you just better, everyone, either facilitators or people coming in, all equal. You really feel that kind of family, like sitting in a circle. No one's higher, it's really felt like a one big circle. That's one main thing that I felt. And the other thing, because you mentioned so many things, Sam, and I'm going to ask you about that as well, but what I found is like, I didn't feel obliged, I have to do everything, I have to break through. If I didn't feel like, and I needed more time for integration or in between, there's so much there that is offered. You have the sauna, you have beautiful spaces in between, like a chill space that you can actually, if you feel like you don't have to go to that workshop, you can chill on the side, and with and there's so many people providing at the same time. It's not like the person doing the workshop is providing and that's it. All of the facilitators, they're like non-stop on the duty, and if you need a hug, there's always someone around. Like I don't think I've ever been in a space that anytime I needed a hug, someone was there, and it's very pure at the same time. There is no like a hidden intentions behind this very pure space, what I found personally. But some so we have lots of transformational things happening. But who would you say is the retreat for? Is it for everyone, or do you need to be down the rabbit hole for many years? Who is the retreat for?
So I think it organically flowed into for facilitators and for other practitioners, predominantly, for those people who are of service to others. So whether that's they're a carer, whether they're a mum, whether they're anybody that's in the world giving out, it's a space and a place to come and fill your cup. There is so much, you can go as deep as you like. You can absolutely come out and you can just you can be just floating up there in the trees, or you can take the time to sit with Kiki. So Kiki is our gorgeous person that brings all of her crystals. She sets a space. She's going to do a little program of her own this year. She's going to teach people how to wrap crystals and to just have that kind of introduction. And she creates the space where you just go and breathe. We've got Cheryl coming over and she's going to bring a rattle making workshop. So that creating a shamanic rattle and allowing yourselves to actually craft and be creative yourself. So whilst we've got these deeply transformational experiences, on the other hand, we've got the other ones that are asking all of your nervous system to just breathe and reset. So there's an opportunity to just be in the woods with good people, with good food, and then deciding whether you want to go for an ecstatic dance in the evening or the music side of it, the DJs, the conscious DJs that are there. It's not all about do the work. It's just like create your own space. We ask for radical accountability. So we ask everybody to step forward and to just go, you are not here because we need you to be here and want you to. You're here because you heard the call and follow your own journey. So you don't have to be or do anything. You could just sit in the middle of the basin of the woods and just watch and witness other people going through things. And that was really, I think that's a great point that you made, Kate, that it is about that. You dictate what speed and how you want to enter the journeys. Yeah.
Oh, right. I'm there, I think. I'm going to be purchasing my ticket. Honestly, it just sounds so, and Kate has talked so much about it. She's so enthused and loved it. And it's just, yeah, it feels like we're talking about moving into the new earth and what it's like to actually really find those qualities of peace, love, harmony, and co-creation. It feels like you've got it right there, Sam, in this retreat. I mean, it's honestly. So
one of the blessings, Kirst, is that you can come on your own. So you don't have to know anybody. And I think that's to be a solo traveler and to be, to enter into a massive festival or a space or everything is quite daunting. So we create the spaces that if you come, then we also can buddy you up. And it's not like school, oh, we'll give you a buddy. We can kind of say, what are you looking for? And who are you wanting to meet? And then we can pop you into that kind of, if you come in, you can share a bell tent. So we've created that you can buy a bed in a bell tent that has your pillow and your duvet and everything, but you're going to be sharing with 3 other women. So already there's a little network for you to be able to go, oh, I'm not alone. So we ask people to use their words, really. Tell us if you're feeling shy, if you're feeling uncomfortable, just come and tell us, and we will do our best to alleviate the fears and to, just give you more hands to hold. And you leave with such solid friendships. That's one of the beauties, huh? We've had couples come together. So we've had, and it's beautiful. They're still together after the first elements, that kind of thing. We've also, by the way, had maybe 1 or 2 people that have separated as a result of the elements because they find themselves and they go, okay, where's my worth? I no longer want to be in a relationship where I'm not seen, heard, and valued. So yeah, it goes both ways, huh? Because we've got to be open to change. And that's all we ask people for is open mind, open heart.
And you definitely feel that. I'm a witness of that. You really feel welcomed and really looked after as well from moment of arrival. You know, having Andy there, bringing your stuff. Oh, what you need, constantly asking, what is it that you need? Really looked after. And I, you know, there are a few things that I look at personally, and that part really, you know, touched me deeply. That you really feel looked after, and not only by the, you know, main organizers, the main crew, but everyone else, and you really feel that weaving through. Thank you so much, Sam, for that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think the early bird tickets are still there, so I'm like, I'm just putting it out there because, you know, organizing at the same time. Whoever wants to join, definitely I'll get the tickets straight away, because yeah, it's beautiful, and the place itself is just so magical.
Oh, magical, huh? Yeah, you couldn't want a better space.
It's like you get everything. I'm like, how better can I get? It's
really... And amazing toilets and showers.
How rare is that?
I know.
I'm like, and anytime meeting in the bathrooms, because I'm like, these are very posh. I'm like, yeah, that's a very posh experience here. It's really important, okay?
That's really important, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And the food. Okay, I have to mention the food. The food, oh my God, was absolutely divine. Like, oh my God. It was, yeah.
We have got 3 amazing chefs this year. They all have their own speciality, and they're all weaving together. So there's Amy, Claire and Darren. They're all weaving together to bring, oh, I can't even tell you what the menu is beginning to look like. Everything is going to be family style. Everything is local and fresh produce. I've got a meeting with them tomorrow, and I'm really excited, because it feels like this is the beginning of their planning, and they're going to share kind of what their thoughts are and how we can just create more nourishment, more amazing food there. It's a big part of the retreat. Yeah. I think when I often go to workshops and I go, that was a great workshop, or that was a great day out. I'm starving. And that's not good enough for us. It's just like, unless you've got a full belly, then how on earth can you carry on with doing the work that you're doing? So yeah, it is an important part.
We're going to put all the details, Sam, in the show notes, but can you just speak into the dates, please, so that people can, because I think it's the solstice weekend, is it?
It is the solstice weekend. Yeah. It's from I believe it's the
19th, 20th and 21st, I think. Yeah.
Friday the 19th.
Yeah.
And then it's a 4-day event. So we decided, rather than it be that kind of everybody goes home on the Sunday, we wanted to just let everybody have that Sunday night and that last hurrah, and then on the Monday gently get up and gently leave, rather than it be boom, you've got to go home. So that's yeah, it's 4 days, and yeah, camper vans. You can bring a camper van, and you can, if you haven't got a tent, you can have a shared bell tent. You can get your own. So the accommodation side of it is great. Everything goes, really. It's just, if you've got any questions, send us an email. We're really responsive, and we're a tiny team, but we're full of heart.
Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom experience, Sam. It was such a delight, and I can't wait for the Elements retreat.
You guys are just more than welcome to be there, and yeah, and I wonder what it would look like if you did a podcast from there. Just throwing that out there.
Oh yeah. Okay. Another seed. Okay, sprouting already. Thank you so much for today, ladies, and have a fantastic day.
It's been a pleasure.
Maybe in the future you could join us again, Sam, expanding maybe more on the human design and more details and more wisdom that will be coming through.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Sam. Thank you, Kate. It's been just a beautiful time to spend with you, and lovely energy and so much to give to the world. So thank you for sharing that with us today and our listeners.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you in the woods.
Okay. See you in the woods. Bye.
Bye. Bye.